What's going on, people? I hope everybody is cool, man. So real quick, I wanted to hop on here real quick, man, and give out a message to a certain group of Christians, okay? And that is the when are you going to pay me back, Christians? Okay? When are you going to pay me back that $20 I gave you, that $100 I gave you? When you gonna pay me back, man? You know, I want to say something to you all. Now, I would like to say that every video that I post is not going to be in response to a news story, but sometimes I'm going to hop on here and just give out, messages that I feel inspire, uplift, and that we can also live by and grow from. Okay? And today that message is for the when are you going to pay me back, Christians. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong. It's right to want people to pay you back what they owe you. That's not what I'm talking about. The message that I'm delivering today is twofold. So you got to stick around to really get the gist of what I'm talking about. So don't get me wrong about wanting people to pay you back what they owe you. The Bible tells us to do that, right? The Bible tells us to give and to also repay what we borrow, right? That's God. But here's the flip side that a lot of people don't like to talk about. All right? Sometimes blessing people means giving without expecting anything back. And that's just as powerful. Okay? Stick around, man. I'm going somewhere with it. Look, everyone knows the saying, quote, the borrower is a slave to the lender, unquote. That's true. Proverbs 22:7 says, the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is a slave to the lender, right? When you borrow money, you got the responsibility to repay it, right? To pay back what you borrowed. And if the lender is always on your back, calling you every week, calling you every day, every second, asking when you gonna pay me back, yeah, that pressure makes you feel like a slave, like you are trapped, right? That is slavery, okay? But here's the key. Here's the key that a lot of people miss. The borrower is only a slave to the lender if the lender wants the loan repaid, right? If the lender says, yo, forget about this debt, it's on me, suddenly the borrower is free. No more chains. That's grace. That's freedom, right? For example, if you get a $10,000 loan from somebody, right? And that somebody expects you to pay it back within a certain amount of time, and that somebody is calling you constantly saying, hey, when are you going to pay it back? The time has exceeded. I need it back. I need it back. You missed this month. You missed this month. I need it back. I need it back. And they're calling you every day requesting that you pay. That's slavery. That's slavery. They're putting pressure on you, right? They're putting pressure on you. But if that lender calls you one day and say, hey, man, forget about that $10,000 I gave you. It's on me. Well, guess what? Now that pressure is off of you. Now you are free. Now you are no longer worried about trying to repay. You are freed up and you feel that burden lift off of you. Right? So people like to say the borrower is a slave to the lender. That's true. That's accurate. That's biblical. Okay? But it is also biblical that the borrower is only a slave to the lender when the lender constantly contacts the borrower. If the borrower is told by the lender that they no longer have to repay what they borrowed, then guess what? The borrower is no longer a slave, man. It's no longer a slave. So what am I saying? You as a lender can also free up those who borrowed from you. You don't always have to keep people in chains and keep people shackled and asking people to repay something that you gave. It is quite all right to say, hey, this is on the house, it's on me, don't worry about it. That's biblical too. See, look, some of us are so caught up in counting crumbs and chasing out every dime that we gave out, even if we can afford to spare it. All right? People who brag about having a lot of money and people who are wealthy and rich, etc. You know, dude probably got $2 million in the bank and wants somebody to pay him back his $200. You know, sometimes we forget what it really means to bless and to be a blessing, right? Jesus taught us that giving is not just a transaction. It's about generosity, love, and faith. Okay? In Luke 6:35, he says, quote, but love your enemies, do good to them, and lend to them without expecting to get anything back, unquote. That's a game changer. That's a cited source for everything I'm talking about. For you, when you gonna pay me back, folks. You, when you gonna pay me back, Christians. That quote right there from Christ himself, Jesus Christ, is a game changer. It means that sometimes when you bless someone, whether with money, time, resources, you don't have to expect a refund. You don't have to expect them to give it back all the time. You can just send them off with peace and grace, trusting God to handle the rest, trusting your reward to come from God. You have a lot of Christians out here who give things and they always expect to get something back from the person they gave it to. I gave you this. When you gonna pay me back? I gave you that. When you gonna pay me back? I gave you this. I did that for you. You gotta pay me back. I need my money, man. When you gonna give it? Give it on here. Give it to me, man. Listen, if you can spare it and if you got it to give and it's not hurting you, it's okay to give it and send that person on their way, not expecting to get anything back. Now, look, there's a biblical balance here. Look, the Bible doesn't ignore the responsibility of paying what you owe. Okay? So don't think I'm freeing you up. All right? If you look at Romans 13:7, it says, give to everyone what you owe them. If you owe taxes, pay taxes. If revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor. So yeah, if you borrow, you ought pay it back. Okay? So don't think that I'm freeing up people who borrow and don't like to repay. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is saying there is also a balance here. There is a balance, right? Of what I'm talking about. Look, if you're always looking for your money back, if you're always looking for somebody to repay you, all right? If you're always chasing folks for what you gave them, all right? You're trapping yourself in stress, resentment, and a spirit of slavery, all right? You are the one keeping that person in chains, all right? The borrower is only a slave to the lender if the lender shackles them up, right? But if you give and sometimes let it go, not expecting anything in return, then you're walking in freedom. And you are allowing the person that you gave to walk in freedom. You're blessing like God blesses. And that blessing comes back to you in ways that you can't even imagine sometime, man. Okay? Remember that, man. So remember, if you lend something to somebody, it's okay to say, hey, just take it and go on. I don't want anything back. Okay? It's okay to give and not expect anything in return. It's okay to bless people. All right? You're not hurting yourself or harming yourself or allowing somebody to walk over you when you sometimes give to people freely and bless them without expecting anything back. Some of you all are just programmed to hold your hand out and try to get back what you gave somebody. Right? Free people up, send them on their way sometimes. And to people who borrow, okay, and you don't pay back, that's wrong to do as well. See, there's a biblical balance here. There's a biblical balance. But what I wanted to talk about today was really to the Christians who are always expecting something in return when they give out something. You don't always have to do that. It's completely fine sometimes to bless people and send them on their way. Okay? And with that being said, I'm gonna leave you all with this, man. Hebrews 13:16 says, quote, "And do not forget to do good and to share with others, for with such sacrifices God is pleased," unquote. Helping others blesses them freely. That's a sacrifice that pleases God. So next time you bless someone with money, love, support, etc., it's okay to do it with your heart. It's okay to do it freely. No chains, no expectations. All right? That's real freedom. That's God's way. Stay blessed and keep giving and watch God move, man. To God be the glory. Peace.